mining that we're seeing, or what is the reason? And the other question is, was he, as a patient, finally released from the asylum?
I mean, I would like to leave it up to you what you think. I mean, at the end, whether by what it was destroyed. I mean, what do you think, by what was it destroyed? I mean, because I find it more interesting, you know, because if I say anything, it might, you know, influence other people's interpretations, and I don't really want to do that. But with the patient thing, also, I mean, is the question I don't understand now whether you're talking about him as a real person or in the film. That's why it's also really hard to answer that.
Let's say it's about the fictional character.
I guess you could in some way see it that he leaves that place. But the question is whether he leaves it really, or if that what comes after is, I mean, if you really leave to anything, you know, if it's connected to freedom or anything that is real or not. I mean, I can't even say myself, so it's very hard.
I have to admit, the first time I saw your film, I also had questions about the chronological order of what we're seeing. In the beginning, you see the scene with the helmets, which comes back in the end. You don't really know whose corpse or body it is that they bring to the hospital. But on the second and third thinking, it doesn't really matter anymore. But I can understand the impulse of wanting to know.
No, of course. I mean, me too. I mean, every time also, when I see, I have quite a scattered also perception, so I have a hard time also remembering things and stuff like that. So every time I see it, I also see something else. I mean, sometimes I'm in the same situation, I know more maybe about how things are done, but eventually, I don't know, I also forget a lot of things.
Yeah, that's the magic of film.
Any more questions? Noch Fragen? Ja, bitte.
Hello? Because you're searching. It's over here. Okay. First of all, I want to say that I really like the film.
Thank you.
Yes, we know that categorizing such a film is really hard, but I guess it's full of literature. I guess while I'm watching, I'm kind of reading a book and going through a trip, and I really, yes, every time I can watch it, I'm gonna have a different understanding or different imagination. So two questions. The first one is kind of practical. How would you convince such a producer while most of the film is in your head and you did not write anything? Second, if we have I kind of went through several experiences with film documentaries like this. So if you could tell us anything that happened during the shooting in the hospital, like a very specific situation or anything that was like really unexpected. Thanks.
I mean, the first question is, so far I haven't had to convince any producer. That's why I don't really know how we'll do it eventually. But my plan is also, I mean, I have two other people that we started as a film production company not long ago, because I also want to be my own producer, I guess, in the future, so maybe then I don't have to explain so much to anybody. But I mean, you know, I will have to explain to some people something, but I guess it's good to try to be as independent as possible. Of course, that's not always going to be possible, but I like a certain amount of freedom when I work. I hope I can continue doing that, but let's see. And I mean, for the second question, every day, every minute, something unexpected happened. Constantly, really. And it's just a lot, yeah. Sometimes it's too much.
There was a question up there, I think. Okay, so that. Yeah, please.
Just a short question about this erotic poem which is being told during the movie. What is it? Is it Polish literature or?
It's something I think Stefan should answer.
To jest zakazana literatura
This is forbidden literature.
więzienna.
It's from the prison.
Tak. Tylko tyle.
That's all.
I'd like to ask another question about your very impressive and beautiful camera work. Almost every shot has a very long duration, but the camera is never completely still. It's moving in very strange patterns. How did you plan those patterns, or were you always just led by what you immediately perceived?
That really depends. I mean, sometimes it was I would really just make everything happen in the very moment I was filming. I mean, this is actually something I decided before I started shooting. I mean, there was not a real concept or method of like a way of working I wanted to apply or something like this, because it was also for the first time I just went without any preconceived idea of how I would do things. But I realized that soon I have to do basically to be that spontaneous and to have this improvisation, or to have this that, let's say, quick time of reaction every time I want to do something. I have to do also the cinematography by myself. But of course there are scenes where, let's say, I would turn up and I would of course position people in the space, and then of course have an idea maybe where I would end up eventually, but that could also change sometimes. So it's really a mixture of sometimes knowing a little bit and knowing nothing, and sometimes trying to know where it would end, and sometimes you would end there, but sometimes you wouldn't, and then something else would come out of it.
Any more questions? Haben Sie noch Fragen? Oh yes, please, over here.
Well, I don't really have a question. I more or less would like to tell you what I felt about the movie. If you have some comments, you can tell it, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there was a point I didn't like. I start with a negative one. Afterwards, I tell you what I liked most. There was a point I didn't like, and it was what you say, that you didn't have anybody you had to explain anything to, or telling what it's all about. But it's exactly what you did with us as well. So it was like sometimes I felt like I missed a little bit more information to follow the line of the movie, which made it very interesting to watch, because you had to concentrate properly. But at the end, you didn't really, I wasn't always able to follow the line, if there was a line. And if you say there was no line, it's okay as well. But it was my feeling sometimes. Did I miss it? Or is it something I don't match in my head? Or is nothing to match at all? Well, I wished a little bit more line in the film, but it's only my personal taste, of course. But what I liked very much about the movie was you gave us the time to watch, and that was the strength of the film. Because
Thank you.
because when you stop, nowadays, they don't let us watch anymore. They blow us full of images, full of information, and you gave me just the time to watch the window, the surroundings, the people, the rooms, and that was very interesting. So I wanted to thank you for this. You were very patient, and I can imagine that for some people it's too long because we are not used to this kind of pictures anymore, but I found it really good, exactly because of that.
That's wonderful what you said there, I mean, I like watching things too, and for a long time.
I think we saw that.